Welcome everyone. This is Coaching in Session. My name is Michael Rearden and I will be your mindset coach today. And today we're going to be talking about fitness, the mindset that you need in order to get the body that you want, and then learning about accountability. Because anyone can say that I want to get a great body. I know we are well past half the year. I know we are already well into the summer, or actually, getting close to the end of summer. People have to realize that the time to have got in shape was 8 months ago, or maybe even a year ago. Because people could say, oh, we have to get our summer body. Oh, we have to, lose some weight to fit into our bikinis or to look good in our swim trunks and do some extra abs and we do some push-ups. And sure, right? Maybe from the outside, we might be able to get a body that looks decent, right? Decent enough, I guess you can say. But what about the inside? What about the damage that we do every single day from all the foods we eat that are not good, from literally even going in all the way to mindset, from the thoughts that we have? And I'm not even talking about the negative thoughts and turning them into positive thoughts. I'm talking about the aspect of we are not giving ourselves the life that we want, the life that we need, the life that we desire, whatever you want to consider it. We are not giving ourselves that path. We are just kind of haphazardly going on this drive of life, this journey of life. And if we don't like where we are, we give ourselves a mindset of, this is just how it is. Our circumstance takes over. But today I'm going to be having a guest that's going to come on that is going to be helping you understand that you are not your circumstance. You can be bigger than that. The only aspect is you have to be accountable. You have to want it. If you always give yourself this idea of it would be nice rather than I'm going to do everything in my power to get it, you'll never have it. So let's begin to learn how to get the life, to get the body, get the mind that we want, because our highest potential, the confidence that we seek, the mindset that we're going to gain is going to be helping us. If we can reach it, there is going to be an aspect that we have to overcome our weaker self in the thoughts and the lifestyles that we currently have. We're going to be doing that today with my guest, Justin Groth. Welcome, Justin Groth, to Coaching in Session. How are you doing today?
Good, man. Thanks for having me, bud.
No problem. So we're going to be talking about your work as a fitness coach, helping people get to their highest potential, bulletproof mind, and helping them build confidence. Everything society is lacking today, you are helping them reclaim it. In your own words, can you tell the world who you are, what you do, and how you help?
Yeah, so my name is Justin Groth. I'm a personal trainer, master trainer, entrepreneur, fitness entrepreneur. I have my own personal training business here in the Central Coast, California, where I live. I'm a former competitive natural bodybuilder, which means drug-free, no steroids. That was in a past life that ended around 2011, but I still maintain the bodybuilding lifestyle to this day. Anyways, I work with people anywhere from 30 to 50 years old. Typically, that's my demographic. Typically sedentary, typically female, and also kind of peppered in here and there some youth, some older people that want to just reclaim their fitness or get back into start their fitness journey. So really kind of a wide range of people I work with, but generally speaking, I mean, my main focus is to get people moving, to get people healthier, to get people understanding the perks and the benefits of this fitness lifestyle, and or just eating healthy and understanding that it doesn't have to be this food prison you live in, this workout prison that you live in. You can actually get very, very substantial results if you adhere to a structure that fits your lifestyle. And that's, I guess, at the micro level, why I'm here, why I do what I do, because I help people at a level that's subjective to them, not just an overcast one fits all approach, even though those approaches can work very, very well. The cookie cutter approach can work very well, but people oftentimes have different setbacks, have different, let's say, mental setbacks that cause them to not be able to follow through with the plans that we set, or not follow through with just the things that they've set in general. That's where I hold them accountable. I keep them in a program that allows them to grow, mature, and be incentivized by the progress that they're getting.
In our world today, especially like here in America and society, there is a big box named gym almost at every corner. It's very similar to like McDonald's and Burger King and Taco Bell. They're everywhere. You have your like LA Fitnesses, your Golds, depending on where you are. They have 24-hour fitness. Orange Theory is a big one also, where they have all of these choices. And some people will swear by them. Some people sign up, they never go to them. What makes your facility different?
We work with people that need one-on-one attention. And even though there are trainers that at these big box gyms that give one-on-one attention, it's never private. It's not even semi-private. We have a fitness style boutique gym, I like to call it, because it's very posh, it's very clean, it's very organized, it's very quaint, it's small, but it allows me and all the trainers that work here to be able to be very personalized with the person. Now, one thing I've noticed that when I worked in big box gyms is that I don't get the most productivity from the person if they're worried about what everybody else is thinking on the sidelines. And that more often than not is the case, especially when you sign up with a trainer that's in as good a shape as I am, and you work with that trainer when you're in no shape, and you see everybody around you that's in somewhat shape, and that you may have to put that person in vulnerable positions to do certain exercises, and they may not like that. And because of that, they ball up, they don't give you their full 100% that they could. And then that obviously attenuates their productivity, attenuates their results down the road. And if you're after results, if you're a trainer, you're after results, you need to understand how that person take in their environment. And you have to be able to read cues and really just linguistics, right? Facial understanding of where that person is at with what they're doing, what they're having them do, what might make them feel uncomfortable. And oftentimes the gym, the public gym, you can only move that person in so many locations because there's so many people around them. Being in a personalized space allows you to put that person in positions to get the most out of that movement. Maybe they're vulnerable, maybe they're not, but at least they're not worried about everybody around them watching them or looking at them. And, you and I both know, being in the gym, we don't look at anything. We're focused on us. We're not focused on the person that's getting personal trained. But they don't see it that way. They only see it as there is so many eyeballs on me. And I feel very, very vulnerable. I feel very insecure on top of the insecurities that they already come in there with. It's just not really a good place to get a lot of productivity from that person. And 9 times out of 10, trainers don't retain their clients in those spaces because it may not be the trainer. It may just be the environment. And they just don't want to show up in that environment. But here we have a private, semi-private space. So sometimes there'll be one other trainer working alongside of me, or maybe 2 at most. But either way, it's a far more enclosed environment, not open to lots of eyeballs to view that person work out. And they can get their workout in. They're very productive. They put a lot of energy and effort in. And because of that, they get a lot more result.
Yeah, definitely an intimate situation. At the gym I'm at, we do have like a personal private training room for individuals who want to get fitness, like individual fitness coaching from a trainer. But what I will tell you is it's not the same. And the reason I say that is because you could be a fitness trainer that has a certification, you did everything and you got your piece of paper, or you could be a fitness trainer that walks the walk and talks the talk. Because when I'm looking at someone who I would like to train me, I want you to be better than me. All right. In some way. And even if you're like 70 years old, or like, I'm not sure how Arnold is, like Arnold Schwarzenegger, like he has gone through it. And it's not so much about where you are now, it's about where you have been. And if you just kind of said, yeah, I'm looking for a job, it's different than someone who has gone through the aspect of bodybuilding, training themselves to discipline, going through that hard point. Now you have more understanding when someone is going through that. Because if you just kind of see a trainer that's like not taking care of themselves or who has had great fitness at some point in their life, it is easy to say, well, you're pushing me, but why are you not pushing yourself, right?
Yeah, and that person, that trainer should always be keeping up their fitness until the day that they die, if they're really indulged in this space. Because it's not, at the end of the day, it moves out of being a space into a lifestyle. And so now this is a habit, a behavioral pattern that this person is indulged in throughout every single day of their life, 365 days a year. They're very conscientious of this. They're very conscientious of the foods that they eat, if they worked out or not, how hard they work out. They're constantly monitoring themselves and collecting data as a result. And that is what makes them better for the person that they're going to be able to train. Even if that person knows how to do that sort of thing and they're not keeping up with it, my level of respect goes down for that person in terms of them taking care of another person. It's like a doctor that stops practicing or stops his continued education. How can you keep up on the latest, let's say, cures? I don't know, for lack of a better word, if you're not consistently practicing and having your head in the books and having your head in the know. You can't. And therefore, you can't properly cure that person to be better. That's just a loose illustration, but you get my point. That person should be submerged in this as a lifestyle because that's what they believe in, because that's what they're teaching. This is not necessarily something that, so you get started with the certification, you get the wheels in motion, but then you get your feet wet from constantly learning and through experience with people and multiple years of this. And that's how you become good. It's not through just certification alone. It's through experience. It's through different movement mechanics and being able to diagnose different movement mechanical patterns and etc. But just to tie it up, people should still be in this space. The trainers is what I mean, should still be facilitating this space till the day that they die. They should be adopting this as a lifestyle, and this should be just a way of life for them.
Very true. I think back at, I'm not sure if you watched the movie Roadhouse with Jake Gyllenhaal, and he was basically ex-MMA fighter for the UFC or something along those lines. And he had to go through a whole body transformation. I believe he had a personal trainer for about a year and a half, I believe. A strict regimen, strict diet, strict workout. And the facility he used is very similar to the one that you are probably working in, because, he just had that one-to-one person. And I'm talking about there was no one else in the room. It was just him and the trainer, and they were working at making sure he got the best body. And even when he had to do the scenes and stuff for the film, the trainer was still there saying, okay, let me, look at what you need to be, talking to the director, what type of body, physique and everything. It was a lot of work and a lot of dedication. Not many people give themselves this aspect of lifelong commitment to fitness, or a year and a half commitment just for a movie. I'm not saying he's going to keep that body, but many people, they kind of fall into life. They get dad bod, or, they, have a kid and they just kind of let themselves go. How can we not fall into the habits of the descending lifestyle and keep maintaining the results that we have when we were younger?
With Jake Gyllenhaal, I'm going to push back a little bit on Jake. And really, any actor that gets ready for a movie role, that doesn't mean anything, because they're getting paid millions of dollars, and it's not the same thing. There's a shiny object in the corner of their eye at all times, on top of building the body, right? Nobody else has that. Nobody else has that ability to get ready for a movie and get paid millions of dollars for a movie to get ready for a few months spread filming. That's not real life. So the the sanctification over Jake Gyllenhaal or over any actor that gets ready for any movie is bullshit. It's stupid. It doesn't mean anything. They're getting paid lots and lots of money. And you or I, if we were getting paid $100,000 to go to the gym for 6 months, come on. Of course, anybody would do that because you're getting paid to do that. It's not the same type of dynamic, right? But when you take somebody that, kind of centered on your point, when you take somebody that doesn't have these incentives or shiny objects to run after, the only incentive is, I don't want to die young, or I don't want to feel this way any longer. The buildup has to be a frustration that they no longer want to feel any longer. That's the only thing that's going to get them to push down that door and do this thing repetitively every single day, or at least when they're scheduled to do it. When I say scheduled, I mean with their workouts, etc. And a lot of times the trainer holds them accountable for that. And a lot of people can't do without a trainer. I have many clients that would not work out if it were not for me. And these clients only work out twice a week, sometimes 3 times a week. That's it. And these are half-hour sessions. So it's even without me, they wouldn't even do that. Sometimes these people need that accountability, or they need something to look after as their shiny object. Money drives everybody. Money, fame, reputation, that drives status, that drives a lot of people, okay? When you don't have that to look after as the reason why you're going to indulge in fitness, it's got to be because you're tired of feeling tired and sluggish and looking like shit and feeling like shit on a day-to-day basis. You have to be so frustrated and fed up with it that anything else out of this frustrated space is better than what you live in right now.
But why would people get into the aspect of frustration when they can just give themselves the mentality of body positivity? I'm not sure if you saw the most recent swimsuit Illustrate cover, it was of a woman who is obese. And we can just say, well, she's beautiful. She has long hair. She's, seems feminine to a certain extent, but she has some extra pounds on her. We can go to clothing stores. They have bigger size figurines for the mannequins now. Like everything is starting to change. Our mind is starting to get away from what is, I guess you could say, a fit body. And now it's more of a normal body. So like it's okay to be a little bit overweight, or it's okay to not go to the gym and work out every day. Yes, of course, we want to give ourselves, the idea of being fit and being healthy. But, like even if we look at the clients who need you, for those 2 to 3 times a week, we're getting away from being self-accountable.
Trends and times of the age can be dynamic, but delusion will always be static. And so there's an element of delusion that can exist with that person. There's never a time, never a time for you to be overweight. There's never a time or a reason or an excuse you can give me or anybody that allows or absolves you from the element of being healthy and being physically fit. That doesn't mean you need to just have six-pack abs and have shredded glutes. I'm talking about you being physically fit and healthy. In the 30s and the 40s, we never had this issue. Obesity wasn't a thing. You could go back and look at black and whites, and everybody is thin. Every single person. Now, the reason why they didn't live longer is because they didn't have the cures or the remedies that we have nowadays. But the fact is, delusion will be static forever. And I do not live in a delusional world. I live in what's reality, and I live based on data, statistics, and we know that when you eat in that type of a lackluster frame, you're going to be less healthy as a result. You're not going to be your best, not only physiologically, but psychologically, mentally. So if you want to talk about mental health and you want to go down that avenue, well, these are very tantamount to one another. Good mental health is going to come from you respecting yourself, which comes from respecting your body, which comes from respecting what you do with your body, which means you monitor what you put in your mouth and you work out, you move your body, which that's what it was intended to do. That's how I stand on that. That's where I stand on that, rather.
I stand with you. I believe that we have an issue, but we have to look at what society is doing in a way and move with it, not to follow it, but move with it to adjust it. It's almost like Hapkido. Like I'm not sure if you're familiar with that martial arts, but you use the leverage of what is the opponent. And the opponent is going to be social media. It's going to be mainstream media, news, stuff like that. You go on MSN, you got these blog articles and things along those lines. You have all of this misinformation, maybe if you want to call it that, that is not helping people be better and live better.
Well, again, I don't live in that world. I'm not just going to co-sign something because it's what the masses are saying. I live this and I experience this on a daily basis. So I know the benefits. The person that's maybe arguing against me doesn't look like me, doesn't perform like me, doesn't have my lifestyle or my habits, and therefore don't have my successes. And that's the reason why they tout against it. It's okay if you want to live in that hell. Just don't drag me along with you. Look, I'm not going to go out and try to clean up the gangs on all the streets of LA. I'm going to talk to one person and hope that I make a dent. Right? Because hopefully that word propagates itself and extends out to more of the same like gang members in the area. And maybe they start to move differently as a result. If they don't, they don't. I don't carry that burden, man. I used to, but when you realize that you can't impact the world, you can only impact the people in front of you, which might have a ripple effect to impact more and more people. Then you start living in reality. Then you start conducting yourself in a more, let's say, favorable tone.
Yeah, no, definitely. Now that we have that all laid out, what are the habits that we should be looking at now? Like the individuals, should they be looking at? Is it more about diet? Is it more about fitness, movement, training? What's your take?
I think they have to first develop some conscientiousness over if they're moving enough, if they're walking enough steps. It depends on where the person is in their life, but let's just take relatively the most severe case, not like 1,000-pound person that's bedridden, but let's take someone who's like 350 pounds and maybe 5'8", very overweight. Let's say have them be more conscientious over maybe taking 5,000 steps a day and always keeping themselves accountable to every single day 5,000 steps. If they've reached 4,900, that's not enough. They have to do the extra 100 steps to meet 5,000. And then we kind of progress them up from there. Everything is a progression game. If they can do that and they develop the consistency to do that and they show up for themselves doing that, well, then maybe we can take out a few regular Cokes in their day and take them down from drinking 5 regular Cokes to 3 regular Cokes or 2 regular Cokes. These are all little micro wins. Once the needle starts moving with them in terms of their weight, in terms of their, let's say, the way that they operate mentally, etc., the way that they feel, well, then that movement will come a lot more easier. It won't be such a tug and war between you and that person or the trainer and that client. But everybody's going to be a little bit different in terms of where they start out from. But the model should always be progression, but giving people progressive steps that they can take and they can adhere to every single day. They may not like it exactly, but look, everything that's going to be good is going to come with a little bit of challenge or resistance. My thing is, I don't want to give them so much resistance where they call it in the first week or two. But I want to give them enough to make them see the light of the other side and what it could be and how they could feel. And that's always the objective. But again, progression in small steps for everybody. And that looks different for everybody.
What would you say to someone who is not getting results and they're doing, almost everything that is recommended? They're coming for the training sessions. They are following the diet to a certain extent, but guess what? At lunchtime, maybe there's pizza or something. They got donuts in the morning, kolaches. There's a lot of distractions, muffins, bagels, whatever it be. And they indulge a little bit, but then it sets them back. They're not following true to their macros. Maybe, like it doesn't agree with their body because certain people can have certain type of resistances to certain types of foods. So we do have to find the foods that we're in alignment with. There's a lot to that too. But what would you say to someone who's having a hard time seeing the results?
Well, it's very simple. If they're only doing it to that extent, then they only want it to that extent. They're showing me that they don't really want it that bad. And at that point, look, I'm not a magic worker. I can't wave a wand over their head and be like, well, now you're this person that can do anything and resist anything. They have to want it. Like, look, dude, if you want to put the gun to your head and you want to pull the trigger, I'll say a few words, but ultimately you're going to be the one to release the energy from the finger to pull the trigger. If that's what you want for your life, who am I, apart from what else I've done in the forefront before getting to this point where you got the gun to your head? Who am I to stop you? You can do whatever you want to do. If you don't want to go through this with me, if you don't want to play this as a team effort and you want to tap out, who am I to say, no, don't do that? That's my approach. That's how I feel internally, because this is for everybody. Like for me, for you, for most people, we don't have trainers. This is an individual effort. We don't have anybody to rely on. This is not Kobe Bryant playing for the Lakers. There's not a team effort to bounce the ball from. This is you. And you're so lucky to be able to have and grateful to be able to have somebody that believes in you, somebody that's going to be willing to hold your hand and give you every counsel that you need. And if you're still willing to let you and that person down by opting out, then go.
It's powerful because not many people see it in that light. Many people think, I'm paying you to help me win, and you should care about my success. And in a sense, we want you to win, right? We want you to reach that high potential. We want you to have that bulletproof mind, but it can only go as far as you want to go. We can't make you run the race, right? We can cheer you on and things along those lines, but you have to take every single step of that race. And many people, we just have this entitlement mindset, especially here in America. It's more challenging now to get people to have that accountability, to take action. And the lack of education that we have with fitness, people are just kind of setting themselves up for disaster. And they find themselves, 5, 10 years down the road. And no wonder why people in their 30s, 40s, and 50s are trying to change, because they have been going downhill steadily from high school. And they don't even realize that they are going down this path that they're not going to be happy with when they're older. How can we start to instill this into the younger generation, saying, hey, like in order for you to have a healthy body, mind, and life, you need to start now?
Lead by example. And that starts with wherever you work out at. That's really the best way. Even if you're a parent for your child, you lead by example. You don't enforce anything. You just lead by example, because if it is illuminating enough to that person looking at you, they're going to want to follow suit. They're just going to want to. I mean, how many times have you in your life looked back and remembered somebody who was at the top of their game with whatever it was that you wanted to pursue? You looked at that person, you emulated that person, you even maybe copied their style or maybe their speech, but you did it because you admired that person. You only admired that person because they lived and they walked the walk. They led by example. And that's what's all expected of you if you want to have an impact on the youth. You lead by example. People that are attracted to that, they'll follow suit.
Very true.
Especially if you're an upstanding individual.
When we look at that role model, we have a broken type of household with single parents. It could be alcohol, drug abuse, things along those lines, broken households where there's not many good examples in this world, right? Like if we look at influencers, influencers, I'm going to use that word very loosely, of people who, have a good following, whether it be on YouTube, Twitch or Kick, or all the streaming platforms. And these people become heroes, but yet they haven't done anything to warrant them. And so now these, it's almost like the blind leading the blind. How can people start to find better mentors?
They need to seek deeper. These are all shallow, superficial people on the surface. If we're talking about fitness, a lot of people capitalize on their genetics and they capitalize on the fact that they do steroids. They don't ever tell you those things, but that's inherently the reason why they look, more often than not, the reason why they look the way that they look. You're 9 times out of 10 not going to come across somebody who looks like me and is not doing some type of something. And I have been natural my entire life, but I've reached a threshold. I'll never get any bigger. I'll never get more muscular. I hover around 200 pounds and I'm 5'11". I'm not this behemoth. I'm not a Bradley Martin. I'm not, fill in the blank. But the point is, transparency is something that's not necessarily pedestalized. And people only see what they want to see. They don't, and really some of these people, they don't even know. They don't know that these people are on performance enhancing drugs, and that maybe that coupled with their genetics is the reason why they look the way they look after a year's time. You can't get anywhere really substantial in a year. Even if you're an untrained athlete taking all the supplements under the sun with the best trainer in the world, you still can't get that far in your physique in a year. But when you couple a performance enhancing drug on top of it with great genetics, you respond at an elite level. Well, then, yeah, you have something to write home about. And that's what these kids are seeing. And that's what's drawing them in. But at the end of the day, why are these influencers doing it anyways? It's probably to gain some financial compensation from. You don't want to cancel them for that, or you don't want to put a pejorative on them for that. But it's just, that's inherently the reason why they're doing what they're doing. Or else they would just not document anything, not have a YouTube, not have an Instagram where they post 27 stories a day on. You know what I mean? They would just live their life, right? They just live their life. There's almost always an agenda over everybody in what they do. There's always an incentive, an agenda. There's always something at bay that person's trying to capitalize on. And that's the reason why they do what they do. And maybe a lot of people, a lot of kids coming up, the youth, they're not privy to it and they fall prey to it. Well, I always say this, that there's an integral component to that falls on, or there's an onus that falls on the person that's peddling the subject matter, peddling the, let's call it information. I think that if you're doing something, you should be transparent about it and tell kids, hey, this is me. This is what I've done. I have good genetics. You're not going to look this way. You may look half of me, but at least you should still train hard. You should eat this way, blah, 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 blah. Too many people want to take credit over things that they didn't build.
Yeah. And we just have those influences that are always going to be there. And we do have to understand that the life that they have is a reason for that. As you said, it could be monetary gains, but you have to figure out what you want, because it might not be money. It might be that if you're, again, in your 30s, 40s, maybe you are a new parent. Maybe you want to be able to run around with your kids. And if you have tried to do it and you have failed, you might get that wake up call. So you have to figure out what type of lifestyle you need and then be committed to it, because anyone can start going to the gym or start working out or get a trainer and stop. It's that long game, because I know many people who will start, they might have a trainer for the first 6 months and they're not seeing the results exactly as they wish. But then they keep on going, and typically around month 9, they're like, okay, now I'm starting to see a big difference. It takes time for the body to change. You have hurt your body for so long. If you think about it, if you started hurting your body at 24 and you're now 34, that's 10 years. And literally in 9 months, you expect your body just to be healed. It takes time. Our conversation today is just a start for people to realize that they can make a change in their life. As we begin to wrap up, I would love to get some final thoughts, some final words from you, and then for you to tell the audience where they can find you.
Sure. I would say that I tell a lot of my bodybuilding clients is, if you're not, because you mentioned, after 6 months, they're not seeing progression, they're not seeing what they're saying is, I'm not seeing the expectation that I once had going into this be fulfilled yet. That's what they're really saying. And I'm on the other end saying, don't have any expectations. Just win each day. If you win each day, all these days that you win, they compound. And when they compound, it breeds a more impactful representation of what you are going to look like in the future. But during this process, you need to put your head down. You need to just put your head down and put in the work. And what I mean by putting your head down is not monitoring yourself in the mirror so closely, not picking yourself apart, not having any expectations. I hate to use this phrase, but it's very applicable. Trust the process, because there is nothing else that you need to do at this point other than put forth the energy, give yourself the commitment and self-respect that you deserve by putting the right foods in your mouth and adhering to the workout program that trainer has designed for you. Put your head down, put in the work. You will get out what you're supposed to get from putting in whatever you've put in your work, etc. If you don't take this seriously, you don't give yourself that commitment, you're only going to get what you put in. And this is analogous to building a business. This is analogous to you becoming a rich, wealthy person. You're only going to get out what you put in. If you're telling me you want to be rich, but you're not willing to put in the work or the back end work towards building whatever it is you have you place meaningful value in, well, then you're not going to get anything out of that, and you're not going to become as rich as you like, because that idea only exists for the people that are willing to chase it. So does your body. Your body only exists if you're willing to chase it. If you're only willing to put in half-ass effort, that's what you get. So people need to do they need to do less of analyzation and more of just the energy, putting forth the energy and putting in the work. That's when the real magic happens. When they put their head down, they don't try to analyze or dissect their bodies or where they are in the state of the process. And they just do plug away, knock every day off with a win. That compounds. That's when the real magic is seen in the mirror. But you're just going to further frustrate yourself if you have these arbitrary and nebulous, let's call them expectations. You're just going to further dig yourself into this rut of these arbitrary expectations made up, like you manufactured them. Why does that exist? How about you just put in your work for this day, knock the day off as a win, move on to the next day? Because that's all you really have anyways. Stop putting these expectations on yourself. All you can do is your best right now. But the great thing for you is when you compound these days over 2-3 years, and your interactions with people are going to be insanely different. And what you're going to attract to you in terms of people, opportunities, etc., are going to be insanely different and more vast. All you have to do right now, focus on right now, is putting your head down and putting in the work. You are not exempt of the work. Everybody must go through this process if they want to build themselves into anything.
Mm-hmm. And where can people find you?
You can find me on Instagram, obviously, Justin Craig Groth. There's no underscore space, just a straight Justin Craig Groth. You can shoot me a DM on Instagram, or you can find me on, we just launched a fitness app called Elite Mind and Fitness, and that's on the Google Play Store and the App Store. That's where I customly coach you. You can get a starter plan for your fitness. If you just want a plan or a structure, you don't know what to do going in the gym, we got you covered for like $20 a month. And then if you want to get a little bit more comprehensive with your plan, where I get a lot more involved and we parse out actually targeted macros for you, a targeted workout routine. And we have coaching calls once a week. That plan is $299. And that's, again, it's a comprehensive coaching plan. And you can find all of that on Elite Mind and Fitness.
Perfect. And I'll make it easy for everyone. All of that's going to be in the description box below, so people can follow you on Instagram, reach out to you with a DM. They can check out the app to learn more about what they can get. And that's important for people to understand, that there's going to be people there wanting them to be better, to do better, to reach that high potential. to get a better, stronger mindset for the aspect of a good and long life. We might have fallen from where we once were, but it doesn't mean we can't get back. If you have fallen and if you might not know where to begin, this is going to be a great start. So I want to thank you so much, Justin, for coming on and spending some time and talking about your work. All right, everyone. I'd like to thank you for tuning in to that episode with my guest, Justin Groth. You can see he's passionate about the work he has done. He has been a long time dedicee to fitness and to making sure that not only he looks good, but he feels good. And many people, they forget the feeling, right? How does it feel to be able to run a mile without, having a heart attack? Or how does it feel to be able to climb a flight of stairs and not, feel like you're going to throw up or pass out? That's questions on a fitness test and stuff like new fitness tests. They ask, how many flights of stairs can you climb before you feel winded? And I think it's like 1, like 2 to 3, I'm good. I can probably do 7 to 8. And then the last one is like, it doesn't matter how many steps, I'm going to beat it or something, right? So it's like, those are the different things. I can only imagine how many people put in the first 2 boxes, like 1 and then 2 to 3, because this is not good. People don't even realize that if they can't do the basic things in life, like climbing some steps, I know we have elevators everywhere now, but what if something happened? There's a life or death situation. You are not equipped mentally or physically to handle it. Many people, they don't give themselves this aspect of getting their butt kicked. Even myself, I am constantly thinking, do I need my butt kicked again? Do I need someone to push me? Do I need someone that's going to help me be more accountable than what I am already being? Because at some point, it's almost like you were doing the right thing, but then you slowly start to get off track. And it's almost like 2 coordinates of a plane is even a degree off and they have to travel, let's say, 1,000 miles. They're going to be in a totally different spot. We have to look at that 1 degree. So I always like to do checks, even myself, if I'm doing the right thing. Guess what? I'm a little bit older. My body might be changing. My lifestyle, my circumstances might be changing. What am I doing to stay on track? If I'm not doing the things to stay on track, then I'm going to be slowly declining and making my life more challenging and more difficult. It does not have to be that. I shouldn't have to be in my 50s. I'm not in my 50s yet, but I shouldn't have to be in my 50s in suffering and being in pain and having heart attacks and things along those lines. I shouldn't be living that life. I don't want to live that life. Fortunately for me, going to the mentor aspect, I know like a lot of young men, they look at Andrew Tate and things along those lines, but the way Andrew does it is kind of a mixed message because it's money and body, but then he does focus a lot on the money, or at least of what I can hear from him and what I see is it's about money and the freedom. Yet many of these individuals who are, getting money are not necessarily working on their body. I don't see them working on their body. Sometimes I see young kids in the gym, but they don't last long. I see people who are overweight in the gym that last longer than these kids. There's something that is stopping us from realizing our true greatness. And I believe that we're lacking those good, strong mentors. Typically for a man, it should be the father, but then fathers might be checked out from the picture. So what do we do? Where is the next best choice? Of course, you can get them like a coach. You can get him a trainer, things along those lines, especially for like a single mom. You need another man in his life. I know you're a great mom, but guess what? You need another man to teach him how to be a man. It's just reality. But then let's say you're a woman and you're looking to, get back into a better body. Well, the industry gambles on the aspect of you looking at beauty in the sense of it could be purchased. You can buy some makeup, you can buy some nice clothes. If you don't like your body, you can get a surgery or something along those lines. And I'm not saying that's you. I'm not saying that's your reality. But where's the hard work? Because if I was, a coach to a young man that's not my son, guess what? Hard work is what we're about to be doing. We're going to be looking at the reality of what is life, what we need to do, and everything that comes after it. There is no babying here, right? You were babied enough when you were younger. Now it is time to learn and to step into it. Step into reality. The reality is you have to show up. Men are different than women in the sense of if you want to be looked at as someone who's viable and has status, you have to have either money or you have to have a good physique. And I'm not saying that you need to appease other people, but what I'm saying is the confidence that you're going to get just being in shape is going to be automatic. Or if you're a woman, the same thing. Yes, we can talk about body positivity, but Justin said something great. He goes, delusion will always be static. And I have talked about being static and being complacent and being still and just being where you are and stuck on the podcast many times before. And I'm going to continue to talk about it because it is a problem. It is something that we have to address. So if we understand that the world is going to be static, that the world is going to push us in, a cube or a cubicle and, let us be stuck, how can we find the right path out of the maze of what the world is trying to direct us in? To be what? Obese, sluggish, unhappy, unfulfilled? I mean, we can keep going down this path, but at some point you have to ask yourself, is this what life truly is? Is this what I want to be? When I was 15, 16, I needed to get to work. And so I started going, working out. We didn't have a gym or anything. At the school, we had a gym, but we were only able to use the gym, I believe, like 3 days out of the week because you had to have a teacher or someone there to monitor the students that wanted to use the equipment. So, it was a very small room. Like this office is actually bigger than the gym at my school because the high school was a small high school and, bodybuilding and lifting wasn't, big or anything. And I remember I went to my brother's high school. It was a trade school, but he had a football team there and the gym was, it was a good size room for, working out. So it was a big difference from like a closet with some equipment to, this nice big facility. But again, football team, you have to have everyone in there. So it makes sense. I learned though that if I wanted to continue to progress, I needed someone to challenge me. And I remember when you're young, 15, 16, 17, whatever it was, I was running and stuff. And the coach would, pull me to the side and say, hey, like looking good, but you got to, work on this and stuff like that. Coach, and this is not even my coach. This is my brother's coach. And then even when I worked out in the gym with his teammates, and all his teammates knew who I was, of course, because he's like, hey, this is my brother. And so when we would get on the bench and we would, lift some stuff on the bench, they would encourage you to, push and to get one more, and they would challenge you. We don't necessarily have that, especially when we leave a team type of situation. So if you're on a football team or a basketball team, you have people pushing you. But at the end of the day, most of the time, the only one that can push us is ourselves. And I'm not saying that you should need to push yourself. It should just be automatic. The gym is automatic. It's already on my schedule. It's there. When I'm at the gym, it might be a battle depending on what is going on in my day, in my life. I mean, I'm not saying that I'm perfect. I'm a busy individual with human problems, a lot of things going on. I'm juggling a lot of things, but it doesn't give me the out that if I want to continue to do the things that I love, my health and fitness have to be paramount. And if it's not, I'm going to falter at some point. So figure out what you need to do in life, that you want to do in life, and begin to create a process for yourself. It might be, checking out what Justin is doing, checking out his Instagram, giving him a follow. I already followed him. Or looking at his app and beginning that process, because we all can make changes in our life, but not everyone is going to do it readily. They might wait for a bad moment, but I want you to take right now, this moment right here, to give yourself a new mindset for change, for some adjustment, and then from there, begin to live the life that's going to create so much more abundance than you can have ever have imagined. My name is Michael Rearden. I'm a mindset coach. If you have any questions, email me coachinginsession@gmail.com. And I'll see everyone on the next episode of Coaching in Session. Until then, everyone, take care.